I know the Steam Deck has been out for a while now, and this isn't breaking news or anything, but what is new is that you can now buy these refurbished for super cheap. So today, we're gonna be comparing buying one of these versus building one of these. This here is roughly a $400 used custom gaming PC, and this is a Steam Deck that costs around the same price. You can now purchase a refurbished 64GB Steam Deck for $319, and after you throw in a 1TB mini SSD in here like we did, you're up to around 400 bucks. Now, these do cost around the same price, but this is definitely not going to be an apples to apples comparison. This custom gaming PC can obviously perform much better than the Steam Deck. Instead, what we're going to be comparing is the experience you receive for $400, and honestly, I think way too many people are sleeping on going down just the Steam Deck path. And even if you aren't interested in the Steam Deck whatsoever, this here is still a super meta $400 custom gaming PC that we're going to talk all about, all after a word from today's sponsor, Corsair and their brand new iCUE Link ecosystem. Now let me tell you, this is a genuine reaction that I had when I first built a system with these products.
I got chills. That looks good. Look how diffused that CPU block is. Oh my goodness, this is so neat. I am in love with this. Oh, I want to do another one already. Oh my goodness, that looks so good. That's crazy. I have not been this excited about PC hardware in a really long time. That is so cool. I don't know, man. That was genuinely fun.
All of that was completely unscripted and not sponsored. iCUE Link was awesome to work with, and I'm ready for another build. The power here is that you can daisy chain these beautiful RGB fans together without any cables in between them, along with the radiator and even more fans all into one single hub. There's also now just one single connector that works with it all, so cable management is a breeze. iCUE Link also works with a ton of custom water cooling products such as blocks and reservoirs, and if you want to take the aesthetics of your gaming PC to the tier S level, then check out the link down in the description. Big thanks to Corsair for sponsoring today's video. And real quickly, I'm actually filming this video right after I just injured my neck, so I can't really move it, so today's video is going to feature more B-roll shots than normal. Just a heads up. Alright, so let's start with the hardware and pricing of both of these devices, and we'll start with the PC since that's our bread and butter. This is using several meta part choices, and honestly, it doesn't get a whole lot better than this for $400. Starting with the CPU, inside here we have a Ryzen 5 3600, and I've been repeating for months that this is the best CPU for budget builds right now. I actually bought this as part of a CPU, motherboard, and RAM combo, which I paid $140 for the entire thing. The motherboard is a beautiful ASRock Steel Legend B450, but what's not beautiful are the RAM sticks that came along with it. I have no idea why the original buyer bought these super ugly Warhawk sticks and think that this would look good with a white and black build, but here we are with this 2x8GB 3200 MHz kit. If you would have bought all of these parts used individually, you probably would have spent $65 to $75 on the CPU, $35 on the RAM, and then like $80 or more on the motherboard, so our $140 combo price did indeed save us some money. If you are planning on following this along at home, buy the 3600 from AliExpress and get whatever B450 or A520 motherboard that you can find a really good deal on. But next up we have the SSD, and our friends at Crucial actually hooked us up with this 1TB P3 Plus NVMe SSD, and you can find these for around $45. If you're trying to save as much money as possible, then feel free to go with a slightly cheaper 1TB model, but this one has the boosted read and write speeds and works perfect in our build today. For our power supply, we have a very typical Apevia Prestige 600 watt, which you can buy brand new for $51. And of course, I plugged in some Asia Horse white cable extensions to keep our aesthetics dialed in. That's also why I painted the stock CPU cooler that's cooling the Ryzen 5 3600. All of these parts are inside the Sama Z4 white steel, and this was one of the best ATX white case options that I could find with pre-installed RGB fans. And finally, for our graphics card, this is the most meta choice of them all, which is of course AMD's RX 5700 XT. We specifically got an MSI Mech edition today. I paid $120 for this on Jawa.gg, which is where I've been sniping GPUs left and right lately for really good deals, and I'll have a link for this along with everything else we're talking about down in the description. But yeah, overall, this Ryzen 5 3600 and RX 5700 XT are capable of putting up some serious FPS numbers in 1080p gaming because the GPU beats the RTX 3060 in almost every game. All in all, this build costs anywhere from $400 to $450, and again, that's about how much you're going to pay for an updated refurbished Steam Deck. And speaking of which, we are going to be using my non-refurbished Steam Deck for our testing, but I don't think that should really affect anything as it's now considered a used Steam Deck. It's been used by me for the last year or so. But since we're pretending that you're going to be buying the cheapest 64GB model, we definitely need to upgrade the internal SSD because 64GB isn't enough for some games, let alone an entire library. Shout out to Corsair for hooking us up with the MP600 Mini, and this is one of the most popular SSDs to use in the Steam Deck community. Upgrading the SSD was actually somewhat of a complex task as you have to put your Steam Deck in a power saving mode, completely uninstall the back panel, and a couple of other steps, but as long as you can correctly follow a tutorial like from iFixit, it shouldn't be a problem for you. So now we have a $400 Steam Deck with 1TB of storage, and a $400 custom gaming PC also with 1TB of storage, so let's compare them side by side and just see the raw performance first. For our 3600 and 5700 XT gaming PC, we first started with Cyberpunk because that's what everyone's playing since the new update, and with 1080p and ultra settings, we got an impressive 61 FPS. If we switch over to the Steam Deck, we put the resolution at 800p since that's what the screen is natively, and they actually have a Steam Deck quality preset, which you love to see. What I don't love is that we only got around 30 FPS average, which isn't great, but it was a kinda smooth 30 FPS, so it still is playable. Starfield was kind of the same story, as our PC ran it nicely in 1080p with low settings and a 100% resolution scale at a nice 69 FPS, but when we swapped over to our Steam Deck, it was much tougher to run. In 720p with the lowest possible settings, including a 50% resolution scale, I only managed around 20 to 25 FPS, but Starfield is one of the most demanding games on the market right now, and it's a bit unrealistic to expect a smooth 60 FPS with a Steam Deck. Here's where people don't actually understand the true power of the Steam Deck though, but it's only if you also have a powerful gaming desktop. For games like Starfield specifically, I love being able to use Steam's in-home streaming feature called Steam Link, where it leverages the power of your desktop PC and sends it to your Steam Deck. This allows me to play with 1080p ultra settings and a super stable 60 FPS, but that's also because I have my desktop connected via Ethernet and I have a good Wi-Fi connection inside my house. Steam Link removes all of the processing power on the Steam Deck so you can still get a ton of hours of more battery life, and this is literally how I've been playing Starfield before bed, and it's such a fun experience. The problem though is that if you are watching this video because you're considering either a $400 Steam Deck or a $400 gaming PC, you probably aren't already gonna have a high-end gaming desktop as well. I think for today's testing, we should only stick with how the experience is running games natively on the Steam Deck, but just know that the Steam Link does exist and it works amazing, provided you have an ideal setup and gaming desktop for it. If you're a tinkerer, then there's also plenty of performance settings that you can quickly tweak right from this quick access button. Here you can limit the FPS of any game to whatever you want, and you can also tweak the refresh rate, which is basically just like changing the hertz of your monitor. You also have the option of displaying an overlay like MSI Afterburner, which is baked into the Steam Deck OS, and you can show as much or as little information as you want here in the upper left-hand corner. So next up, I fired up Forza Horizon 5 because that's another game I've been enjoying on my Steam Deck. Also super excited for the new Motorsport as well, and on the desktop PC, I got a solid FPS average of 73 FPS using 1080p in extreme settings. Over on the Steam Deck, I did get a very smooth 60 to 70 FPS using 800p in low. The deck has zero issues playing this title with these settings. And finally, the last game I tested between these two was Hogwarts Legacy, and again, I got a smooth 81 FPS on the PC with 1080p and medium settings, and I got a somewhat playable FPS on the deck as well. And I know other people have been playing this pretty demanding of a game natively on the Steam Deck. I did try to run 3D Mark Time Spy on the deck as well, which isn't supported, and although I was able to go into desktop mode and manually install it, it ended up not running, which was a huge bummer. I would love to see what kind of score this device can get. For the custom PC, we get a score of 8,968, and if you know anything about Time Spy runs, that's an amazing score for just a $400 build. It's incredible. The main concept that people need to realize though is that even though on paper the crown is clearly going to the desktop because you can play at a higher resolution with higher FPS, that doesn't mean the experience of gaming is better. If you're the type of person that works at a desk all day looking at your computer, then chances are high there's some resistance when you come home to sit down and do the same thing on your gaming PC. Maybe not though. Now, you can do that by turning your Steam Deck into a full desktop PC as well, which I'm not going to cover in this video, but with the deck, you also have the ability to play it wherever you want, and I personally love playing this in my bed or on my couch. Having full access to my library of games in a handheld form with my feet propped up is such a treat, and it's honestly just a completely different vibe than sitting upright with a keyboard and mouse at your desk. What it also does is encourage you to play other games that you wouldn't typically play on your desktop, and I feel like everybody goes through this experience whenever they first buy their Steam Deck. The game Horizon Chase is a great example, as this is basically a cartoony budget version of the Forza Racing series, and I can't imagine many people play this on their desktop PCs, but in handheld mode, it's really a treat. I love zooming through these tracks and playing in bite-sized 20-minute intervals. It's a ton of fun, especially for a busy gamer dad like myself. Same thing with Dead Cells. This is a roguelike Metroid-style scrolling type of game that I'm not normally into, but everyone says to play this on the Steam Deck, and I can see why. Games like this, where they can produce the maximum amount of fun that you can have for just a quick 20-minute chill gaming sessions, have become my new obsession, and if you have any more recommendations, please leave them down in the comment section. Now, for a gaming desktop, these 20-minute sessions just aren't the same because it's a bigger commitment to sit down at your desk, fire up the PC, and it's just so much easier to grab your Steam Deck and lay down. Now, if you're like a 16-year-old kid and you don't have any responsibilities and you think gaming for only 3 hours a day is very low,
How many times a week? Like, three or four times, maybe.
I gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
Then none of what I just said probably applies to you. But for you gamer dads out there that consider quick 20 to 30 minute sessions a night as a true dub, I would honestly consider grabbing a Steam Deck. The other concept to realize is that even though the prices of both our options today are the same, it's actually still not a fair comparison. With the Steam Deck, you're technically getting everything you need, such as a screen to play on, a controller, and even a digital keyboard, where with the gaming PC, you'd have to buy all of that separate just to operate it. If you're starting from scratch, then you'll need at least a $100-ish monitor, a keyboard, mouse, and a headset, and that will run you closer to $200 additionally. When you think about the value of what you're getting for the experience, again, I think the Steam Deck comes on top here, but that's just my opinion. And again, in desktop mode, you can do all the normal things from the Linux operating system, such as checking your emails, watching YouTube videos, and certainly working in platforms like Notion and Google Docs. So if you need that from your computer, you do have the ability to do that with the Steam Deck. Last year, I actually switched out my gaming desktop at home for my Steam Deck, and I used it for 30 days because I was going to make a YouTube video on it, but my regular routine throughout my day didn't really change too much, and I just ended up not making that video because it was going to be so boring. You can do almost everything on here. Now, if you're a video editor or someone that actually needs a high-end system to get your work done, then this obviously won't apply to you. But if you're considering a gaming PC and all you plan on doing outside of gaming is the standard stuff like watching videos on YouTube, then the Steam Deck really could be a good option. And finally, the last thing I want to say is that if you're looking for a community of like-minded tinkerers and gamers, then the Steam Deck community is top-notch. I spend a lot of time lurking in the Steam Deck subreddit, and there's posts every single day talking about the tweaks that you can make to your deck for better performance, people reviewing new game launches and how they play on the Steam Deck, and even just asking basic questions which are probably answered in a video like this. If you buy a Steam Deck, you're joining a community of people that are willing to help you, so don't think you're going into an adventure like this by yourself. Whichever way you decide, the ZTT community, and specifically our Discord server, is willing to help you out as well, and I'll have that linked down in the description. If you do feel like you want to build a custom gaming PC instead, but you need a little of extra help, head on over to ztthelp.com, where I offer one-on-one consulting to help build you the ultimate parts list for your next gaming PC. I'll either build a parts list from scratch or help you with the current one that you have. That way you know you're getting the best possible use out of your hard-earned money. And again, that's at ztthelp.com. And if you're thinking about building a gaming PC but you want some more ideas on this price range, then feel free to click the video that's on the screen now.